Hey everybody, it's Pete. Good morning. Welcome to today's episode of Stock Trading Pro. We have a ton of stuff to talk about today. Got a nice big list today of what I believe are the best stocks to buy now. A little bit of rotation. Obviously, the energy sector has been on fire. Chevron leading the way, CVX leading the way. The question now is, are they still a good trade? Should you be buying those top stocks right now, or should you be waiting for a pause? We've spent a lot of time talking about the push and the pause. We make money during the push. We manage risk during the pause. So now, have they gone too far, too fast? And does it still set up a good risk reward ratio if you decide to buy those top stocks now? It's an interesting play because they're clearly going up. We're going to talk about crude oil futures, which is exploding again, no pun intended. But I have a couple of other stocks that we're going to look at today. Maybe not screaming to the upside, some lower price stocks that I know a lot of people like to take a look at. They're kind of bottoming out and getting interesting, and they're kind of working their way up into the list of the best stocks to buy right now. And it's going to be pretty interesting. So we also have another sector, or I should say an industry group that we haven't spoken about in a while, but has seen some really, really positive price action recently, explosions to the upside as well. One stock is actually up 32% right now overnight in that group. So we have a bunch of stuff to talk about. I want to make sure I say hello to everybody. Stick around. I'll be back in just 1 second, okay? Okay, so thank you so much for joining me here today, everybody. I really appreciate it. Hey, John Weinberg, how's it going, pal? Nice to see you here today. Min Vai, always a pleasure. My friend. Raphael, how you doing? Andrew, how's it going, Andrew? Let me just make sure I say your last name right. Andrew Chow, I hope I said that right. Kelly Irwin, good morning. How's it going? Okay, so we're actually going to jump right into it. A lot of people are asking about SOFI right now. I'm getting a ton of questions in reference to SPCE, Virgin Galactic. Is Virgin Galactic a good stock to buy right now? It's interesting because it's kind of bottoming out. Earnings came out. But we're going to talk about a different sector that has a bigger list of stocks to buy right now, and that's retail. You might call them like big box type stuff. We're going to work our way over. First, we're going to look at the S&P 500 futures. We're going to take a quick look at Bitcoin, which everybody's obviously watching right now. We're going to discuss inflation 2 weeks from now. Today's Wednesday. Literally 2 weeks from today, the Fed has their next meeting, and we're going to determine whether or not they're going to raise by 25 basis points or they're going to raise by 50. The Russia invasion of the Ukraine has made that a lot tougher right now. What was perceived to be a lock that they were going to raise it by 50 is now all the way down to where it's pretty much a certainty it's going to be 25 points. So let's hop up on over. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Hey, Elihu, how's it going? Good morning. Love seeing everybody in here. Okay, so we want to talk about Allison. Good morning. I know I'm saying hello to everybody, but we got a lot of people that have been in the boot camp. I just want to show my respect and say thank you so much. So we want to start out with the futures market. So we're actually going to jump over here. If you remember yesterday, we had mentioned that we're still in a pretty solid move to the downside, and we need to break this. And we actually accelerated to the downside. Let me actually work that a little bit there. So going into yesterday, you remember a lot of what we do is we have a roadmap. You know, a lot of people come into the community, whether it's here or in our private Facebook group. And again, if you want to get into the Facebook group after this video, you can click down in the description and get the link. You need a roadmap. And a lot of people come into our community because the market is confusing to them. The stock market just doesn't make sense. It becomes a lot easier when you know what you're looking for. If you remember yesterday, we had 2 days higher, and then we went into yesterday saying we were expecting a push higher and then short covering to kind of hit the skids and head back down in the other direction. Well, we got the move down yesterday, and it was pretty steady out of the gate. We just didn't get the push higher that we were looking for. Now, I want to challenge you. That's actually one of the biggest things that I've been doing on our coaching calls recently is the volatility is driving a lot of people crazy only if you don't have a structure for the way price action needs to look. It's funny. I actually had a phone call recently with one of my friends who's a professional options trader, and we were asking about how the communities were doing. He's got one. Obviously, we have one. The active traders right now with experience and understanding how the market's supposed to unfold are just having an amazing, amazing time in the market right now. Newer traders coming into the market are probably feeling right now, you're probably buying the high, selling the low, and you feel like your timing is all over the place. And that's, look, I'll be honest with you, I was there at one point as well. You just need to really start to focus a little bit more on one or two things. Probably the best insight that I could give you, especially from new people that are coming into our community, is the biggest relief that they feel they have is cutting down to where they're not trying to trade 5 different strategies at once, trading one strategy, looking for the same thing every day. And then quite honestly, price action becomes a lot easier because you know exactly what you're looking for. And I say this every day, and I'm going to keep saying it every day. When you look at the stock market and you know exactly what you're looking for, and it happens, that's where trading conviction comes from. And you can go out there and buy the best stocks now simply because you know exactly what you're doing. The trouble, the challenge, the losing trades, the frustration in the stock market is when you know what you're looking for, you don't see it, and you continue to trade anyway. So that's really the biggest part of trading that I want to get across to everybody. Obviously, this is all for financial education. You have to make the decisions yourself. But how does that translate into what's going on in the market today? So we had a buy day, another day of buying, which we call that a sell day. Yesterday was a sell short day. So what we're looking for in the market today is to actually find buyers, but we need to take out the 2-day high. So I want to give you if you're new to the channel, I want to tell you very clearly what we do. We don't talk about what happened yesterday. On these videos, we talk about what we're expecting to happen for today's trading and the week going forward. So what I'm walking you through now is the roadmap of what I need to see happen. So now we got basically a 3-day high here and a lot less conviction on either side right now because you have Russia, Ukraine, you have inflation, you have interest rates, and earnings season is still kind of in gear right now. If I had to give you a scale right now, and I'm going to actually show you our sector rotation sheet right now. If I had to give you a scale of, let's say, 1 being not obvious at all and 10 being, wow, load the boat, let's go buy those stocks now. Right now, we're kind of at a 5. It's not really awesome in either direction, other than energy and other than the sector that I'm about to walk you through. We're also going to talk about financial stocks here today because financial stocks have been imploding. Here's the thing, though, and you got to really think this thing through. It's almost a certainty that the Fed's going to raise rate. And what group of stocks should benefit from that? And that's anybody with interest rates, right? Anybody's going to be loaning because they're increasing their margin. Financial stocks specifically, we're going to take a look at Citigroup, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and a couple of those have gotten hit hard over the last couple of weeks. Now, 2 weeks going out, the Fed makes an announcement. On the way down right now, those stocks are starting to see the last 2 days specifically really heavy volume. So the way I'm looking at that really heavy volume over the last couple of days is that's going to be the projected, forecasted, scripted, whatever word, whatever language you want to use. To me, that's something interesting that I think the selling is done there. And that's going to be the bottom of that move heading into the 2 weeks of getting ready to hear what the Fed's going to do. So I want to point that out to you. And these are the things that you need to do every day. When you run your scans, when you're doing your scans of which stocks you plan to buy, you need to run price action scans and volume scans. Run them separately and then run them together, and you see different ideas. So that's 3 different ways to run your trading scans before you choose which stocks you plan to buy. So I want to show you that right now. Okay. So first we're going to look over at Citigroup. And if you zoom this out a little bit, look at the volume over the last 3 days, well above what the average is. Okay. Working our way over into JP Morgan, same exact thing. Look at that volume. Also taking out this low. We tend to reverse when we take out lows like that on big volume. So we're going to see how that reverses. Goldman Sachs, not necessarily the same exactly, but we're going to put that into the mix. You can see that expanded, and Wells Fargo as well. Look at that volume on that big move down. Now, what's super interesting is a lot of people like, wow, big volume, and that it's going to keep going. But you need to put into context what happened prior to those big volume spikes. Now, again, I know John A. here is spending a lot of time, which I appreciate, talking about our smart money footprints, which talks about accumulation, distribution, a markup, and a markdown. But one other type of price action that we don't talk about that much is exhaustion. Exhaustion is a type of price action which, after a significant move, you get parabolic candlesticks. Parabolic meaning, let's say it's to the upside, you get big green candlesticks, maybe one, definitely two. And on those two candlesticks, now remember, this only matters after a significant move. You get these giant green candlesticks and then big volume. Now, if you could imagine, let's use Ed as an example. Let's say Ed has a hedge fund, and let's say Sal is his hedge fund buddy on the other side of the call, right? Ed's got 5 million shares of whatever stock we happen to be looking at, and he bought 500,000, he bought 1 million, he bought another million, and he's the one who pushed that stock up for a while. Or in this, we could even do the same thing on the other side with pressure, but it's easier to understand buying pressure, right? So now Ed picks up the phone and Ed calls up Sal and says, Sal, look, I just got done buying 4.5 million shares of XYZ stock. I'm the only one pushing it up because when I slow down, the stock pulls back a little bit, and I just want to get a good fill on the last print that I have. 100% okay. It's compliant. It's just two people negotiating a big share, and that happens. And you've probably seen this happen on your charts. Like, wow, where'd that big volume spike come from? Some people call it capitulation. Some people call it a cleanup print. I call it exhaustion. Now, I call it exhaustion because if you visualize thinking about this big push of buying pressure, and then that last trade that happens, or maybe last one or two trade that happens, that's the exhaustion of that buying pressure. So we're kind of seeing that now on the opposite side of these trades and the financial stocks. There's been heavy selling for about a month now, but now we have the specter of the Fed coming in in 2 weeks from now, and it's just a question of how much they're going to raise interest rates. So we're seeing that big push to the downside, bigger volume, and I'm anticipating that to be the bottom, and then watch financial stocks turn around and offer a pretty good trade. Now, they're in bearish order flow. Even Morgan Stanley actually just recently hit all-time highs and got clobbered after that. So does that mean that if you're short, you just get out? No. The way that we talk about it and the way to properly manage these positions is when you spot exhaustion, and I'm very clear about this every single trade that I call out in our Discord community. When I spot it, I show it to everybody. And then when I show it to you, the first thing I say is, that's interesting. Something changed in the price action and the volume. That means that you now need to be aware and move up your trailing stop loss on a profitable trade because, and this is the language, the tape changed. So now we start to put those pieces together, and now we're aware that it's happening. We bought that stock, and now we trail it up a little bit more aggressively, because if that was exhaustion, you tend to see some nice big reversals in the other direction, and you spotted it before price reversed. It's pretty interesting. I got to be honest with you, because when you start to pay attention to price action and volume and put the most recent pieces together of what happened, it becomes exciting, because you're like, wow, okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. It should have just kept going. But big volume comes in. You usually get, on these kind of days, you either get a bullish U-turn where you trade below and reverse, or you get an inside candlestick that goes into a well-bid candle. So let's, as a community, follow the financial stocks from now. It's March 2nd, 2022, into the Fed meeting, which is coming up on, I believe, is the 15th and the 16th. So these are the kind of things you want to game plan. And look, you might not necessarily be trading it today, but it's definitely stuff you want to put into your game plan. All right. So now I want to walk over into sector rotation, how sector rotation is now playing into the best stocks to buy now, and then working our way over into the top stock picks that we're going to talk about today. The list of the top stocks going into Monday that met perfect criteria was 59 stocks in that list. Yesterday, it went down to 29. Coming into today, it went down to 20. We're actually seeing some rotation out of some bigger stocks into a different group. We're actually going to take a look at retail big box chains, I guess you could call them today. They didn't follow through yesterday, but they're all still exhibiting really good price action just recently and volume. So we have to keep those into our watch list. So we're actually going to take a look at a couple of stocks. If you didn't happen to see it, Nordstrom this morning up a monster number. It's all the way up here. You can see 25.82. Yeah, right in that area, right over there. So Nordstrom is up big. We've also been watching Dollar Tree, which is actually sitting right on the breakout levels, down a little bit this morning. We've been watching Raw Store, which is in a longer term downtrend, but you can see it's actually up 6%. And again, look at the volume the last couple of days. Volume started to increase prior to the earnings announcement. So earnings came out. Now we're looking for this order flow to be broken. Okay, so not quite there yet. However, we have been watching Kohl's, right? Kohl's actually had this big move, and now Kohl's actually had a stock buyback as well. So there's a bunch of them in this area. Kohl's, JWN. Gosh, what was the other one that we were looking at? Target. Target was the other one that we had on the list yesterday as well. So a lot of these stocks are seeing short-term increases in buying pressure, short-term increases in volume. So now, again, I'm going to show you the chart on Target. We were very clear yesterday with Target announcing revenue went through $100 billion. The market loved the stock, but we said we're not getting involved unless it holds that level that we need to see. If it holds that level, then we can hang on to it at least for the week and then see if we get follow through and get a well-bid week. But it did not. So again, remember what I said at the beginning of the call. You can't buy stocks that do not meet your criteria. You need to buy stocks that you have an edge and get follow through. So if we're looking over here at Target yesterday, we drew this yesterday morning before the market opened, and it did not stay above that level. So this, I'm telling you right now, if you're watching this video, which I want to say thank you so much. You have in you already the skills to understand what to do. But that one little higher level is understanding that you only take action when what you expect to have happen happens. More smart traders drive themselves crazy by simply buying stocks that don't meet any perfect criteria and hope that it starts to work out. I'm telling you, it is easier to navigate the stock market when you are looking for something that is obvious and then simply piggyback on for that ride instead of saying the stock is getting hammered and I'm going to buy it because it's too low. A lot of people lost a lot of money from November through even the last week and a half because they got long, didn't have a decision. Got long means they bought stock, didn't have a decision in place for if they reversed, and now they've watched these stocks deteriorate. I think Tesla's probably one of the biggest ones that people did that with. Some of them are starting to turn around just a little bit, but you shouldn't be holding those stocks that aren't working. It is trading 101. If you want to be a profitable stock trader, at some point you have to determine where is this trade awesome and where is this trade no longer valid. And you have to separate a stock that you bought that's working out from a stock that you bought that's not. And neither one of those make you a genius. It's simply the odds playing themselves out. I have losing trades all the time. I don't care about the losing trades. They're a business expense. But what I care about is, did I come back in other ideas and make enough profits on those other ones to wash away all of those expected losses? Yesterday morning, I had a couple of losses right out of the gate on the day trading side of things, grinded it back throughout the day, got profitable by the end of the day. But the morning, I just didn't have a read on the market in the morning. But was I crying about it? No. And you shouldn't do the same thing either. You should be like, okay, I thought that was a good idea. I built a great argument for why I bought that stock. It just didn't follow through. Came back on a couple of other stocks and then ended up the day and the week so far is pretty good. That's the mindset that you need to have. As long as you are keeping losses reasonable or small, the next goal for you to have is to understand the conditions, how to stack the order flow to make more on your winning trades. Now, we've talked about a couple of sectors that I want to make sure I remind you of. First being the solar stocks, which we've mentioned quite a bit recently. And I think ENPH, probably the number one that a lot of people are getting excited about. We hit this big bottom down here just in front of 110 and had a nice big move to the upside. And Run is the other one. Now, Run has a little bit interesting setup here that we're watching right here. It got up to the 50-period moving average and now is pausing and is sitting right here. Now, you got to ask yourself, based on the size of this move, again, we've spent a lot of time here on these videos talking about that. Based on the size of the recent move in a couple of these stocks, you could add JKS to that list as well. if this is what they normally do and the stock is right here, how much room is left to go in that trade? You have to ask yourself, if I accept risk and I buy stock right now, Run specifically, or ENPH, I love the idea. I love the fact that the group of stocks are seeing buying pressure. But for the next swing trade, what kind of risk am I looking at for the potential reward? So if you have a one-to-one risk reward based on what's left in the trade on the next move, on the current move, actually, that'll make you a break-even trader. You'll make $1, lose $1, make $1, lose $1. You want to expand the reward potential. You want to expand the likelihood of the reward potential. So what I'm looking for, and again, this is going forward, what I'm looking for in these solar stocks is maybe another day trade, which I call a bullish echo, which is a bullish stock that is still valid, not a swing trade at this moment, but I could maybe day trade it. From the swing trading side of things, I'm looking for a 2 to 4 day pause, light volume to set up the next move to the upside. So I'm just going to give you those stocks again. So that's what I'm looking for over the next 2 to 4 days in these solar stocks. Okay. So Run, ENPH, and JKS. Okay. So JKS, obviously you can see here, another big move out of the gate. So those are the 3 stocks in my list that I'm keeping an eye on over there. Now, obviously energy stocks are the big conversation right now and the big breakout. CVX being the big breakout dog yesterday, it continues to go, announced a big buyback. Huge, huge move, right? These stocks are still valid on the long side with increasing volume. Obviously, the situation with crude oil, the situation going on in the Ukraine is a big deal right now. So I'm getting a ton of questions about energy stocks right now, buying the energy stocks on the breakout. And I'm specifically looking at, we'll go over the charts. It's probably a little bit easier, a little bit easier. So Chevron, ExxonMobil, which we talked about yesterday, needed to break that downtrend and finally got through that downtrend. CPE is another one that we're keeping an eye on. You can see broke out. DVN is another one that broke out. So the way I am now looking at these stocks, these are news stories. So you have to actually say to yourself, am I trading consistent pushes in order flow where somebody's clearly accumulating this idea right now? Or am I trading something that's different where it's an in the moment type of idea? Now, they're on fire. Nobody can argue the fact that these energy stocks are on fire. Crude oil hit another record level yesterday. So there's not a question that they're buying opportunities. Buying these energy stocks has been an obvious play right now. But you have to add to the equation right now that it's a big minute by minute changing news story. So if you are going to trade these, it's imperative that you're aware that that news story can change in a heartbeat. What if the news changes? What if the news cycle changes and that the unfortunate situation that's going on in the Ukraine right now? What if it changes and you have these stocks on your radar right now? If you have them in your portfolio, if you have them as active trades right now, I'm not telling you not to trade them. What I am telling you to do is be prepared if that story changes and pulls back, because it could be a violent move back in the other direction. Great short-term idea. I'm absolutely actively trading them every day. Now we just need to determine how long, what is the objective for being in those stocks. Another one I want to work my way over into is Virgin Galactic. We are getting a ton of questions about Virgin Galactic. Actually, I just want to touch on this a little bit. A couple of people have asked, we talked about AMC in yesterday's video. We basically said yesterday that we don't think it's going to be an event at all. It's not a meme stock at this moment. The short float's not as high. So if you want to watch that, you can go ahead over to yesterday's video. Okay. So Charles talking about my trailing stops have protected me, that knocked me out of good follow through. That's trading, Charles. Actually, you know what? Let's stick on that for a second. That's real trading. That happens to everybody. It's not a question of whether or not you're going to get stopped out. And this conversation is what we cover in coaching calls. this is the kind of question you want to ask. This is the kind of comment you want to ask. And when you're kind of trading on your own and you're not involved in the community, or you don't have an experienced trader to walk you through this, this happens to me all the time. I don't care. I care about managing the downside, following my game plan, doing what I'm supposed to do, and then a few trades follow through and don't come back. Charles and everybody else who has this problem, it's not a problem. It's real trading. It's trading in the real world. And the reason I'm staying on this, and Charles, thank you for posting it. The reason I'm posting this and harping on it, I guess, so to speak, is because when you buy stocks, you have to anticipate some trades are going to follow through, some trades aren't. The amount of people, and Charles, I'm just using you as an example, the amount of people that focus on the ideas that where they did what they were supposed to and get mad at what they were supposed to do, managing the downside, get back into another trade. I talk about this all the time. It is so much more important to manage the downside and do what you're supposed to do all the time, because we cannot know with certainty what's going to happen next. We will know by stacking the order flow what is probably going to happen, but need to know what we are definitely going to do. And I'm telling you right now, and I'm saying this, I just told you before, I had losing trades yesterday. I was down yesterday morning. I do the same things you do. But the difference is, if I do what I'm supposed to, all professional traders do this. You get out of the trade, you don't whine about it. And Charles, I'm not saying you're whining, and you just go to the next position, whatever that happens to be. We are running a trading business. It's not a bank. We're running it's not 2% interest rates on a CD and you're guaranteed to get that. Trading has uncertainty, but profitable trading means you're taking the right action all the time, fully expecting some trades not to work out. It's those trades that do work out. Those are the ones, Charles, and everybody else, that you need to work on. Holding the ones that are working out in such a good way, you couldn't possibly screw it up. But sometimes we take smaller profits on those good trades because we don't have a plan. So please, 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 I'm saying this as your friend right now and somebody who's been through it. And I've been through those frustrating situations, but now I don't see them as frustrating anymore. They are part of trading. It's not the small wins and the small losses that should be bothering you. If you, Charles, and everybody else has control over those small wins and small losses, some make money, some don't make money. Some make money, some don't make money. That's not where your focus should be. You have the hardest part of trading down, which is managing the downside. Next, the next goal, the next strategy, the next thing you need to add into your trading toolbox is understanding how to stack the order flow in those trades that don't come back and make as much as you can, because you put the trade on, you got a head start, it never comes back down to your entry and keeps going. It's those trades that are going to turn you into somebody who just absolutely loves to buy stocks, because it's not about this. It's about those. Stop focusing on what you did correctly and thinking that was wrong, and focus on the ones that follow through and learning how to make as much as possible. Look, we all know the math. Even as simple as 3-to-1 risk reward, you could still be profitable. It's getting to 5-to-1, 6-to-1, 10-to-1 risk reward that makes trading probably one of the most exciting things you could possibly do. So, Charles, I get it. I've been there. And look, I'm not going to say I don't get, I get mad. Or yeah, but then you let it go. You can't trade and focus on, if you did what you were supposed to do, you have to move to the next trade and make it back. I'm telling everybody on this call right now, once you understand managing the downside, nothing else matters other than learning how to manage the upside better as well. Because you will start to find that you don't need a big win-loss percentage. You don't. You need to, you putting on good trades, managing it, putting on good trades, managing it. And then you get to the point where a couple of those trades follow through, and that makes your entire week. 2 trades a week, 8 trades a month. If you're an active trader, it's not really that much. That puts you in a pretty good position. That's real trading. Look, I tell it like it is. I don't make money on every trade. I don't need to make money on every trade. Neither do you. It's a question of understanding that these are expenses and this is revenue. Focus on those few trades. Go back into your P&L and ask yourself, which trades did I have that were profitable and I got out too soon simply because of the dollar amount that I was up on the trade. That's what will separate you from somebody who says trading doesn't work, from somebody who says, I had 4 losses this week, but one trade followed through and that made my entire week. That is where you want to get to. Small loss, small profit, small loss, small profit, small loss, and one trade doesn't come back. That's real trading. That's trading in the real world. And that's how you actually become profitable. Stop focusing on win-loss percentage. You could have a 95% win-loss percentage positive and still lose money if you blow your stop loss on one trade. Okay, win-loss percentage is cool, but it's really, did your account go up at the end of the month? All right. I want to start to get into some other ideas right now because I wanted to show everybody some of the other stuff in the game plan. Okay. So obviously we've been talking about sector rotation and working our way into sector rotation. You can see that the list has changed dramatically. We started the week out where the XLV and healthcare stocks were on fire, and they cooled off the last couple of days. Let me actually make this a little bit bigger so it's easier to see. But then as we work through, you can see that last week on Friday was pretty strong. So this is heading into Monday. But then we cooled off a little bit heading into the week, and energy remaining up at the top, healthcare working its way down, technology kind of hanging in there. Still good over the last week, but the downside here kind of led us into the selling that we saw yesterday. So I just want to point this out. The reason I provide this for our community every day is I want you to understand the flow of money into and out of the market and how long and how consistent that flow is. Because again, if you're struggling with your stock trading right now, you're buying stocks and you're just not 100% trading with conviction, I'm telling you, it is just easier to do when you follow the smart money. They are the reason stocks go up or down. It's just easier for us to track the order flow from if you're a day trader, from 1 hour to the next, 1 day to the next, 1 week to the next, and say, which train is already going in the direction that I want to go, which for most people is you want to be buying stocks. So which stocks are going up? Buying these stocks that are going down, they're good to put into your watch list until they reverse. So they don't become trades until they do something. So we're going to actually talk about Virgin Galactic in a second. So I just wanted to make you understand why I provide this for our community every day. I want to literally show you where the flow of money is going every day. And then you get to the point where you're like, okay, it's just easier. You're like, oh, there it is. That's what I'm going to start to pay attention to. Okay. So as the days unfolded here from heading into Monday and what we saw last Friday, you can see there were a couple of sectors that were still really, really good. Tuesday started to weaken a little bit based on the day and over the week. Consumer defensive, which you would have thought would have gotten stronger as the market took off a little bit, but it didn't. And now we've worked our way back to where the list of stocks over the last 5 days are still strong. Now, what's interesting about basic materials heading into today, you would think that as they're working their way up the list, basic materials will be strong, but the overall sector is not really awesome. There's really 4 stocks we're looking at in basic materials right now, which is Alcoa, NUE, CF, and FCX. Those are mostly the ones. X and STLD. Let me actually go over the list right now just to give you an idea of some of the stocks that have been in the rotation right now. So Alcoa, which has been a big stock that we've been keeping an eye on. You can see why here. But and if you saw the email that I put out today, if you happen to be on our email newsletter, Alcoa broke out yesterday and pulled back. NUE yesterday broke out and pulled back. So if you're long those, this is one of those situations where I'd say we still love this idea. It's been really strong. But the point I'm making right now is they broke out, pulled back, and we're looking for active trades. But I want to see if the breakouts hold. So I want to give you the list of stocks so you have them for yourself. So Alcoa, NUE, and you can see NUE actually traded into what we call a bearish U-turn yesterday. That's a bullish U-turn. That's a bearish U-turn. So this is reversing the bearish momentum. This one will most likely reverse this bullish momentum. So we're looking for a pullback. And where I'm looking to buy this next is a swing trade. It's going to be right around here in the 125 area. Also looking at STLD recently and X. All of those have been pretty strong. Now, all of those have been strong, but the whole reason I'm bringing it up is those are the only 4 stocks in that group that are really performing well. You could actually add FCX and CF, but the rest of them aren't really doing that much. So they're being carried. That whole sector is being carried by only a few stocks, and even they've pulled back now. So I'm actually looking for these stocks to cool off over the next couple of days, pull back, and then look to get involved on the next push higher. I do want to work through a couple of ideas. SOFI is one of the ideas that we've been keeping an eye on. The bank charter is out. You can see the stock's actually up 16%, but still trading below the key moving averages. Now, what I want to see here, and I'm actually going to take this off the screen because I want to work this charts a little bit here. This longer term big move is clearly still in place. Now, it's nice that we tested it. We tested it and tested it again yesterday. But for me right now, this is still a big move to the downside. Now, earnings came out. The stock's trading well, and it's up at $12. So it's now breaking this downtrend. Now, Lynn in our community watches this stock every day. She's been calling it out and making sure it's been on our radar. So this is the first time with all the good news that SoFi has had that is finally breaking the downtrend, which is going back all the way to November. So you can see here, this is the big move. So right now it's trading at 13 and change, which puts it up here, which is also right at the level where it has been getting smashed. So you can see selling, 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 and we're right there again right now. So how would I be looking to trade this? If I'm looking to swing trade this or maybe build a little bit of a position, what I'd be looking to do in SoFi right now is making sure it stays above 13. That's the big level. Sellers came in, got up to 13, got smashed down, got up to 13 and smashed down. So again, that train keeps getting into an accident. I'm not ready to get on that train. But if it finally clears the 13 station, then I'm going to start to put on a small piece looking for the stock to reverse to the upside. So we have 24 down to 9. So what is the first target that I'm going to be looking for? And I've been showing you every day how I come up with my first target is we use, more often than not, we use the Fibonacci tool, which is kind of simple and easy to visualize. So what we'd be looking at is on the first push back up to the upside, we'd be looking at right here in this area, right around $16, $17. Now, is that a monster move? Well, a slow dollar is still a dollar. It's a $13 stock. But remember what I said, that's the initial profit target. So in this case here, around 13, looking for 17, maybe you risk $1, looking for it to make 3 or 4 on the trade. Now, the next thing, the curious thing is, remember what I said before about making more on good trades. If it pushes up, goes to 17 and pauses, that's where I'll be looking to add to a trade and maybe look for it to make a run back up into the 24 area. It's got good news. If we can finally get above 13 and stay there, that's where I'll start to look to initiate new trades there. The other one that a lot of people are asking about right now in a similar situation is SPCE. So you can see here even more dramatically going all the way back to last year. We had a couple of big news stories back here where it exploded. And this gives you an idea of the potential of what this stock can do and why it's in our watch list. The bearish order flow in the stock has been pretty steady, but now you can see the stock is what we call in a box. And for me right now, there's nothing to do in this stock until it gets out of the box. Now, earnings came out, volume is good, but it's still stuck here. You can see that's quote unquote the right price. So when we work the charts like this, and I encourage you to work the charts like this, no moving averages, get in there, draw trend lines, draw your boxes. It just becomes obvious that that's the right price until somebody steps up and said, I think it's a bargain based on the cash flows and starts to pay higher prices. Remember, we're looking to hop on board one that's already moving in that direction. For me right now, SPCE Virgin Galactic below $10 is the right price. Until it gets above $10 and what I call an energy candlestick, also known as fuel, we get fuel, which is a heavy volume, big green candlestick above 10, then that would have my attention. So right now I have my alert set for 10. I'll pull it up when that happens, if that happens, and then I'll start to say, okay, now show me if you're going to stay there. So there's 2 different trades here for Virgin Galactic. Get above 10 on big volume, close above 10 on big volume, and then it goes into my watch list and I look for entries. So that's how I'm looking to attack those guys today. So we went over energy, we went over the financials. If you didn't happen to catch the beginning of the call today, the financials pushed down heavy volume with the Fed coming out in 2 weeks. So I'm looking for them to reverse now heading into the Fed. Doesn't mean I'm looking to buy today's bottom. It means, as I said, the tape changed. So I'm looking to see if that is the bottom based on the fact that the tape and volume actually exploded yesterday after what we demonstrated is exhaustion. We talked about the energy stocks still looking good. They're definitely in my radar. We're talking about some of the big box retailers that have been getting a lot of attention recently, such as Kohl's, KSS, Dollar Tree, DLTR, and Target. Those have been the ones that have had the most attention. And if you missed it also this morning, Nordstrom up 33%, still up in that area. It's trading all the way up here now and finally got through this level. So pretty nice price action, right, in Nordstrom today. So we want to use Kohl's Target yesterday as an example of how we're looking to trade JWN this week, and specifically now Wednesday through Friday. So we'd be looking at a shorter term trade, looking for the news to follow through. Wherever JWN opens today, very similar to what Target did yesterday, needs to stay above that level. If it stays above that level, we could have a nice stress-free trade hanging on to that, maybe for a 3-day trade into Friday or maybe even longer than that. So I want to give you the visual so you can keep an eye on it. So here is where it's set to open, right? That's kind of where it is right now, right in that area, give or take. So if it stays above that level on the open, we'll be looking for it to fill that gap right there. Similar to what Target did yesterday, but Target did not stay above there. So we didn't do anything. We're looking for Target to get back above that level today. So a ton of good ideas heading into today. On a scale of 1 to 10, to me right now, the market is kind of right around a 5. We're a little bit on the shorter time frames, which means we're looking more at the daily candlesticks, going back and forth on the most recent price action. The big picture of the stock market is still pointing down. So we got a lot going on. We obviously have the unfortunate situation that's going on in the Ukraine right now. We have Fed coming out in 2 weeks. We have earnings still coming out. If you haven't watched some of the electric vehicle stocks, we mentioned them 2 days ago, on top of the cybersecurity stocks as well as the solar stocks. The electric vehicle stocks, PLUG, actually had earnings. Earnings were pretty good. That perked up a little bit. XPEV perking up a little bit. Ford was up a little bit this morning. So there's a lot of ideas that we talked about today to put into your game plan. Now it's just looking for follow through. So I just want to finish up on what Charles said before about being frustrated about getting stopped out of a good trade. Happens to all of us. Let's learn to shift our focus into saying, okay, I'm running my business. That was okay. That's what I'm supposed to do. That's what protects me in the long run. I just got to now learn what to do and how to hold those good trades that don't come back, and learn how to use the profit maximizer to make as much on those ideas. All right. I have to head out, everybody. I got to go to our next meeting. Have an awesome day. I want to thank you so much for joining me here. If it's your first time here, if you haven't done so already, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, let me know that you like this kind of stuff. And if you're not in our YouTube, if you're not in our Facebook group, make sure you click that link down in the description as well. I'll speak to you soon. Have a great day, everybody.